What's the motherfucking deal? What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to the Den. If you're not familiar with the Den is a friendly community where we have conversations or opinions are uncensored. So, you know, the one rule in the Den is we're all friends in the Den. So whether you agree, disagree, or, you know, have your doubts and you're skeptical or whatever it may be, man, we're all friends in the Den, and that's ultimately what it's all about. We'll keep working on it until I get a better intro. The reefer intro used to be so much better. But as we learn, we grow, we progress, we make it shake. So tonight in the Den, man, we're going to talk about the lasting effects of childhood. And the reason why we're going to get into that is because I've told you guys I've been on the meditation kick, you know, in the morning, starting off my day, even though I kind of meditate a little bit more mid-afternoon or whatever you want to call it today. But I did some soul searching, if you will. And I think this might have been one of the better meditation sessions that I've ever had, because some things were revealed to me about myself. And I'm going to kind of deep dive into that. But first, you know, what's important is we got to see who we have joining us this evening in the Den, you know, before we lock the door, lock everybody out. Nah, but let's see who we have in the Den with us this evening, man, and the friends of the Den. And I see we have Joe's house. Technically, I'm first. Yes, technically, you were first. Mr. Rabbit, if you will. We have Kenneth. We'll talk about that, Kenneth. That's crazy. Baker Man, what's the motherfucking deal? Walked my foot the wrong way, and it hurt for the entire day. You rapping? You rapping now? I did research today? No, I didn't really do research. I just did some meditation. Joshua, what's the motherfucking deal? And so as I was meditating, as I was thinking, this is just, you know, personal stuff, and I want to talk about some experiences just from people that I know, and I probably should have looked it up, but I had spent a little bit of time with the fam, and had to figure some things out. But this was eye-opening to me. And the reason why I say it was eye-opening, because it kind of brought some insight into why I am the way I am about a lot of things, and why I've been this way for so long. And it kind of changed my perspective on something that I always thought was a positive in my life, because I've mainly reaped the benefits from it. And now I kind of look at it as a negative, because if I compare what I've missed to what I've gained, it definitely did more damage, more harm. I won't say damage, but it did more negative than positive. You know, it may have closed out more opportunities than were opened up for me. And so the thing that, like I said, I used to always look at as a benefit, I realized that it was a negative, and I had to spend some time thinking about it, trying to reassociate the feelings that I had with some of those thoughts. But I kind of want to talk to you guys for a second, and then we're gonna deep dive into childhood. We're gonna deep dive into, you know, the benefits of meditation, because I'm highly on this whole meditation kick, and so I'm probably going to mention that quite often in the Den these days, and just kind of talk to you about some ideas that I have for the Den coming up in the near future, and things like that. So how did they find the guy that was supposed to commit the atrocity today? So how do they find him? I mean, so you say the police looking away for any damage was done. Did you snitch on him? I mean, because technically they wouldn't be snitching. You know, you got to do what you got to do if you may have stopped something from happening. But I mean, did he actually have weaponry on him and things like that? Because that would be very unfortunate if that was the case. I saw a very sad story today And maybe we should start the den off. I'm wondering if that's something we should do. I don't know. I just got to figure out this format just right. But because there's so many little news stories that take place during the day that should be discussed, but then there's topics that need to be discussed. Then, there's den lines that need to be opened. Because, again, you guys are friends of the den, and that's ultimately what it's about, giving you guys a platform where, you can call in and share your thoughts, or you can call in and express your feelings about, what's going on with the topic at hand, or if you have some other things going on. So, people already had. So here, if you're still up by the time we open up the den line, Kenneth, I'd like you to kind of call in and just kind of, maybe give us the details on that, because it'd be interesting to hear, what you have to say. Most things you say are not that interesting, but this would probably be interesting. So here's the deal. I want to talk about childhood, and I want to talk about not the Michael Jackson song. But Mr. Bakerman actually brought a very good point. It says, childhood traumas and triumphs sculpt the person we become as an adult. Or it says Asian adult, but I know you mean as an adult. But some of us do become Asian adults. I don't know how that works for everybody, but, it works. But traumas, there's a lot of people who look at the world through a negative lens. And the reason why is because this operating system, if you will, was installed in them at a young age. They say that we're molded by our environment. And the first environment that you have is your home or your household. And a lot of people don't always grow up in the most stable of those. And so those same people tend to be very unstable as they get older, as they go through life. And unstable could mean, hey, you have a nice family, but they just ain't got it together. You could be moving around a lot. You don't really ever have that one childhood home. Unstable could mean that you could have a childhood home, but there's so much trauma, so much drama between your daddy and your mama, if they are both, it could just be your mama, could just be your daddy, but I was trying to make it rhyme, within those walls, man. And so there could be a lot of things taking place that could affect a young mind as you're trying to figure out how the world works. And that's why I say it's a problem with a lot of people these days, and that's why they can't sustain a positive relationship, simply because they're so used to tumultuousness. They're so used to, volatile situations in which there's no stability. And so even if they do get into a relationship or a situation where things can be smooth, perfect, fine, stable, steady, their natural inclination is to just fuck it up, because they're so used to that. They need it to be some drama. They need there to be some type of fuckery going on. Otherwise, they don't know how to deal with it, because they're so used to a lot of them growing up with their childhoods like that. But on vice versa, you have people who've grown up in the most stable of homes, and everything's been given to them. Everything's been done for them. Everything's been provided that they could ever imagine, ever want, ever need. But then, they said, hey, get the fuck out. Go live life. And they don't know how to cope. They don't know how to comprehend. They don't know how to deal with anything. They don't know how to deal with the slightest of upsets. And we see a lot of those people in society today. And that's the thing, that you can't ever tell what type of childhood until you spend a little bit of time with someone. That's why it's very hard for me to just take somebody's opinion out of nowhere. I have to have known you for a bit or had some real discussions with you before I can just say, this person's opinion is valid to me, because it all roots back to your childhood. And depending on the topic, depending on whatever it may be, it takes a little bit of discussion to really truly understand. But I'm going to talk about my situation and kind of what it was, where it stemmed from, and why I thought it was a positive, but it ultimately became a negative. And I also want to talk about something else. I don't know how many of you are familiar with, and I don't expect many of you to be. I don't think we have the right people in the crowd here tonight that would be familiar with the Advice show. Some of you guys are a little bit younger, and a lot of you guys aren't melanated enough, if you will, to quite be familiar with the Advice show. I got to figure out what's going on. I think I need to tighten that screw up right there. But the reason why I say this is we'll discuss that a little bit later, because apparently, yes, cavity creep. There you go. Exactly. I figured Cavity would know what was up already. Exactly, Baker, man. Your first teacher is your mother, and your first example of interpersonal relationships is in the home. And so when you don't have stability, when, if your mother could be a lush or a drug addict or something like that, or not even in the home, or you see those relationships. Because I was having a discussion with someone the other day, and they were talking about how their mom was every 2 or 3 months, it was a new man in their life. And they were talking about when they got older that they didn't know, what was right and what was wrong, and the way they saw relationships was skewed. But again, talking about my situation now, I think I had a little bit of both. Early on, my mother and father, they were together for the first, I would say, half of my childhood, but till I was probably about I don't think they were technically divorced until I was about 11, but I think that it was about 9 or 10 when they split up. So 18 is when you're an adult. So I'll give the first half of my youth to somewhat stability. I lived a couple of different places. It wasn't everywhere all the time, but we'd be somewhere for a few years, be somewhere else for a couple of years. But my thing is, as I was meditating today, and I was sitting, I was thinking, there was a place that we lived for the most part when I was in Beaumont. And, that home is no longer there. I went, back when I was probably about a teenager, and I saw, it was torn down. And I tell you, it was not the best of places. And I spoke to my mother earlier today, and I was asking her a couple of things. And she called it the hell hole or something like that. She said she claims that was the worst years of her life. Maybe I didn't see it that way. Maybe because I was so young, I had a different perspective. The only memories I have, though, once I really thought about it, before I kind of started deeply focusing on it, the only memories I have when I think about it in a quick manner are always outside of that house, never inside. If I have maybe 10 memories of that home, I would say that 8.5 of them are outside. It may be one thing that I can recall. Let me see, I'm looking so grainy here. It may be one thing that I can recall from being inside that home. And so, like I said, I just started thinking, man, why are all my memories, why is everything that I think about when it comes to this house always outside? We lived here for several years. I know I've been inside the house. That's not an issue. That's not a question. And so, like I said, I started meditating. I said, let me focus on this. Let me focus on this one thing. Why do I behave in a certain manner? And it was more of that before getting to the house, but it started from a memory and then kind of spread throughout the house. But it was something my pops used to do when I was young, when I first got into school. Now, I taught myself how to read before I ever got into school. There was some little program, this little thing, this little electronic thing that used to hook up to the TV, and it wasn't like a video game, but it was supposed to teach you stuff. But you were supposed to buy like cartridges or something for it to be able to use it, to be able to work. I can't remember what it was called now at this time. And I got the thing, but I never got any of the cartridges. But for some reason, unless I'm dreaming it all up, and I know I'm not, I used to use this thing all the time because I'd always have trouble with the word mosquito. And this is, like I said, I was about 4, maybe 5 years old around this time. I'd always have trouble with the word mosquito because I don't know why, but I remember the thing. And I'd be on this thing all the time, and I'd be doing different activities and different little stuff. It was like something had a little robot that came with it or some shit, like on the screen. I can't remember what it was called. And I talked to my parents about it. They're like, man, that doesn't work. You got to have more cartridges for it. You can't just, you got to. But I know I'm not mistaken. I know I'm not, I don't know if I did something different with it, or maybe it was more demos on it they were just not aware of or something. I don't know. But I used this thing all the time. I loved it. I thought it was a cool little deal. And then I had books and things, and I would read them. I like to be entertained. Mom worked a lot. Pops, he was around, but he'd be in the streets. And so, like I said, I taught myself to read before I ever got into school. I'd go upstairs, because my parents' room was upstairs. Sometimes I'd say, hey, I want to read this book. And they would think that, hey, you want us to read this to you? I'm like, no, I want to read it to you. and I'd read, and they'd be surprised. They, you know, maybe they weren't supervising me properly if I was getting away with all that illegal reading. No, I'm just joking. But the thing is that once I got into school, you know, you're learning handwriting, and you had that, what is that, manila type paper with the lines on it and stuff like that. Well, when he was around, my pops, and he would check my work, he would make me start over. Like if there was just an erasure mark on my paperwork, start all the way the fuck over. It could be doing my ABCs, everything would be good, and it could be a eraser on a Y. Look at the paper, ball the shit up, make me start from scratch. I mean, it just is what it is. I'm like, okay, well, you know, ass clown, fuck you too. I'm evaporating over here. I don't feel so good. Let me fix that. But you know, and I look back on that because you say, okay, well, you know, it helped me, you know, be a better student. It helped me accelerate past a lot of these other kids in class who probably didn't receive that same type of treatment. I always look back on it as some type of positive. I always look back on it as, all right, well, this was a plus. It worked out in my favor. You know, it helped me, you know, adapt to be smarter than the other kids, put more into my work, whatever else it was. Because I'd always generally shit on the other kids in class. It wasn't ever a thing. I remember going to school and they had the spelling bee, and you're supposed to be like in first grade, but they let me get in it. And I think it was like, I think at that school particularly it was like first through third would be in the spelling bee because it was first to third school, and the fourth and fifth schools across the street. And we'd have spelling bee practice after, you know, school. And I mean, I would be shitting on kids every day. It would be down to the last two. If I didn't win, it would be down to the last two. And this is not to just talk about school and stuff like that. But so I always looked at it, oh, it was a positive. It was a positive. But then what happened is I kind of looked back and I said, you know, as I was doing some thinking today, I was like, man, but what that also did was kind of instill in this thing of me of I won't do shit unless I feel like I can do it right and perfect it the first time. And so things that I may question myself on, I fucking, it wasn't a speaking spell. It was a different thing. And so I would fucking, I just look back in life and I mean, there's a lot of shit, like, you know, majority of normal shit, of course I did. You know, I'd go out and try out for certain things, you know, football and stuff like that. So it wasn't like, if I don't make the team, you know, I don't think I'll be 18 or whatever, I'm not going to try. It wasn't like that. You know, I think I always managed to make the 18 and stuff like that. Height definitely helped. But again, like I say, you know, it was just, I look back on my life and I've noticed that. And I started noticing things. There's things risks that I never took because subconsciously, I always felt like if I didn't do good enough, or I didn't perform perfectly, I shouldn't do it. And so this was a lasting impact because I started looking at some other things and just other behaviors from that house. And I'm not going to go too deep into everything. But I started looking at, you know, the way that my education was treated early on. Of course, my mom didn't do that. She was much more lenient on me than my pops was. But the thing is, Zaxby. But the thing was that I don't know if there's like a subconscious pressure to get it right because I always, that'd be the one memory, like I say, the main memory that I'd have from that house. But, you know, today, like I said, I spent a little time and just thinking on it and just trying to figure it out and just saying, you know what, I'm not going to let that be a thing that impacts me because there's still things that I risk that I don't take. Even with channels, with other things, because I'm like, man, what if this ain't good enough? What if this ain't as good compared to this, that, and the third? Like, you know, I can be honest about that. And so I'd rather stick to the stuff that I'm familiar with than step out on a limb and take a risk because if it's not good enough, you know, if it's not perfect enough, then why do it, you know? And it all stems back from some of those ingrained behaviors. Like, again, for what it was worth, it did make me work harder. For what it was worth, it did make me, you know, do better than most in my situation. But then once it got to a point where certain choices were to be made, or then when I, you know, get to a teenager, you start getting that fuck it mentality, you know, it definitely hinders a lot of opportunities, you know, because if you question yourself even the slightest bit, you're like, no, I'm not even gonna fuck with it. And so I would stop dealing with it. But, like I said, so I had to make some decisions as I was thinking today, and I just kind of, again, was trying to reassociate that memory to just that time. And like I say, now it's time to let that type of stuff go and take more risks, because you don't know if you don't try. And, trying and failing is a better learning experience than not trying at all and being secure and stable in the simple things that you do. So you have to really take those risks. I wouldn't say that. I think if Watson had the same tools that Mahomes had, everything being everything, and actually got to sit behind a quality starting quarterback, we'd be talking about something different. But everybody's entitled to their opinion, so there's that. If it came down to it, we know which one of those quarterbacks actually has a championship in something, and which might get one. We'll see. One of them has hardware and one of them doesn't. So there's that. My thing is this, because if you actually go back and look, the Chiefs are doing with Mahomes exactly what the Texans were doing with Watson last year. If you go look at the numbers as far as having an extra blocker, the same type of system they're running, RPOs, things like that. It's what the Texans were doing last year that made Watson look so good in the system he thrived in. So that's what the Chiefs are doing this year. And I'm thinking, I honestly feel like they stole a little bit. Well, if Watson could do this, this, and this, let's run this with Mahomes because it'll be able to work. Because what happened? Why hasn't he done that? You tell me why he hasn't thrown those picks. There's a legitimate reason. Look at the targets, look at the weapons, look at the overall team that's around him. Look at the pressure that is put on Watson as compared to the pressure that was put on Mahomes. So, you got that. When you literally have no offensive line, when you've gone back-to-back years with the worst offensive line in football, Mahomes has more time to make the decision. He has more time to operate. I mean, what is the Chief offensive line? What are they ranked right now? And then you tell me that. But again, like I say, he has made errors, because trust me, I'm going to be the first one to say, he made this piss-poor decision, he made this piss-poor decision. But when you look at it overall, Mahomes was put in a better situation because you have a coaching staff that knows, that actually has experience, and then you have the personnel on the field that can give him what you need. Exactly. It's not Mahomes. It's the tools around him. And so you're telling me Watson is not? How often have we seen Watson try not to run? I mean, again, when you're getting sacked every other play, when you're getting the David Carson, you have to start running. He'd be foolish to not start running. And I'm glad he's actually started running more. So there's that. But here's my deal. We don't talk sports, and I didn't do a sauce today. We don't talk sports though. In the den. Stop. But again, here's the deal. The childhood that you have impacts who you becoming as an adult. But that's not an excuse to continue the behavior that was ingrained in you as a child. I mean, there's a certain point when you get into self-awareness, when you get into independence, where you have to make decisions on who you really want to be. Because you can always use that excuse, well, I was raised in a bad environment, so I act like this. Yeah, that sounds good. It's a good excuse. But there's so many other people who were in that same situation and have thrived, have done better, who have chosen different. So how do you improve the Texas education system? You can't. It's too far gone. You homeschool. You just improve your own education. I've got to the point where you can't save everybody. And it's another lesson I've had to learn. But you save those people who are willing to listen, the people who want to thrive, the people who want to succeed. Because I don't think homeschool is expensive as people think it is. It's really not. And you actually have some certified online schools that are within the Texas education system, if you want to say that. But no, I've never saved hoes. I'm just talking about people who want to do better, who want to think better. That's always been a no-no. You can be Captain Save-A-Ho though, Kenneth. But what I'm saying is that as far as trying to save the Texas education system, you have people who are deliberately trying to water it down. No, I think we have social media, and we have things like that now, where I think that it's not that hard to socialize. You have after-school programs. You have programs where kids can go join up with various clubs and they can socialize. I don't think that's true. You have kids. You have a neighborhood that you live in. Kids will play. So you're playing Captain Save-A, baby. You have kids who will play and do these things in the neighborhood. So I don't think that's the case. I think when kids become awkward socially is when you don't give them the opportunity to interact. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to Phil making tacos. Man, we'll talk about Phil for a second. But I'm gonna explain the education stuff. You got to let kids be kids to an extent. Now you supervise them, and like Man Up said, you guide them. But certain lessons you can't teach. Certain lessons kids are going to think they always know better, you know, that they're just not going to understand. So you have to let them have those experiences. But you have to be there to help them understand what happened. So if a kid don't want to play with them or don't like them or whatever it may be, you help them, you guide them through that. Say like what happened today in Hastings, gun control has scared parents a lot, which is forced school to cut down on teachers. Well, again, they either cut down on teachers, they improve security. I mean, they have to figure out a way to do it. Or again, you know, I know not all parents are able, but I believe in co-ops and situations like that. You know, if you get a group of people together who are homeschooling children, and you know, you interact, you take turns or whatever it is to the school on specific subjects, whichever some parents may be better at than others. I think that's going to be the new way. It's going to be the new wave because, I mean, the same thing with the internet being able to expedite certain shit, make certain things easier, change the way we operate in this world. I think homeschools and co-ops are going to be the next wave, you know. So I think that's going to be a big trend very soon. And I think it's already starting to trend. And I think that more people need to look to that, having smaller segmented groups of students so that way they get the direct learning and teaching that they need. Because let's be honest, these teachers don't teach shit. They teach out of a fucking book. And the book has all the answers. You know, they teach us a small lesson plan. I mean, if you really look at what you're learning throughout the year, it's not a whole lot. And so you could definitely, and I definitely agree with the black teachers for black kids, because the situation you have with that, honestly, and the studies have shown, and I mean, like not for any racist belief or anything, but studies have shown that white teachers view black students differently. They see them as older, and because normally, like I said, there's been studies that have been done, white people see black kids as older as opposed to seeing white kids as, oh, they're just kids. But because most, like shit, with me, when I was, you know, 14 or 15, I was 6 and some change and I'm looking like a whole grown man or whatever else, they are going to view you as that. So if I would have done something, they're not going to look at me the same as some little scraggly haired, you know, shorter kid who just doesn't look as dangerous in their minds because of everything they've been ingrained with. Just because he looks a lot more harmless, if you will, when those are the motherfuckers tearing shit up. Those are the motherfuckers was doing the most dirt, you know, because people weren't paying attention to them, so they were able to get away with shit, as opposed to somebody like me. So I think that it's good to have like-minded communities do these things, because in the same sense, like if you have more Arabic or Muslim people who want to start homeschooling, I think you need to have the same type of people school them. I think, and I'm not saying this, you know, to not say let's segregate everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that when it comes to education, it's good to have like-minded people to explain things to you, because it's also shown that it was a doctor. He was telling a story, and you know, he's a black doctor, and he was talking about, you know, he was doing his rounds with I guess, you know, they go in a kind of a group. And he said it was a black guy, and basically the doctors were telling him a bunch of stuff using medical speak. And he was just kind of like, okay, you know, whatever. And because he didn't understand. And basically they were telling him some real shit. And, you know, when they walked off and he's making his rounds with these people, they're joking about it. They're talking about, it wasn't nonchalance, not the word that they said, but basically just that he didn't care. I can't think of the right word right now, the exact word that he used, but just basically saying that, you know, well, but obviously he doesn't care about his health. Obviously, you know, he's fine with what's going to happen to him. So then the black doctor went back and he just basically told me, say, bro, you know, look, yada, yada, just broke, you know, when people say code speaking or speaking, whatever you want to call it, you know, it is what it is. But, and he said he basically broke it down to him in a more layman's term. And old buddy, who just a second ago seemed like he gave no fucks about it, you know, was like shocked and appalled. He was like, oh shit, you know, he's like, God damn, I didn't realize that's what they were telling me, you know, because buddy broke it down to him in a way that he understand. He spoke to him in a manner in which he comprehended, you know, instead of trying to talk to him in this, you know, this medical speak. And, you know, buddy kind of got his shit together. And now, you know, buddy's doing much better and healthier because he realized what was being said about his health and all that other stuff. And he was much more attentive. He was much more in tune with that. And I think that's what you need. Now, I'm not saying go fucking teach these kids with a bunch of fucking ebonics and shit like that. That's not the way. But I think you have to be able to diagnose certain problems in certain kids that are raised a certain way at home, and you expect them to just flip the script when they get to school. It's not going to work that way. I think it's better when you have teachers who can relate to certain issues with these kids, and I think it's be a bit more helpful. And that's why I agree that, you know, you have to have people who are like the people they're trying to teach. You know, you get out in the world, you learn to interact with other cultures and all that. That's all fine, dandy, and well. But again, when you just come from a place where you just automatically cannot relate, like, you know, in my classes, you know, I would be in the gifted and talented classes. The majority of the people in those classes were white. The majority of the people in those classes had money. It wasn't even that they were smart. They had money. Like I had to go to a different elementary because the one I was originally supposed to go to didn't have gifted and talented classes. And so, again, coming from another neighborhood, going to another place, and the only other people who were in those classes that were Hispanic, a couple of them had money. It might have been one or two who was, you know, they were in a similar situation to me, but they had, you know, a full family. They were grinding or whatever. So a little bit different situations and things like that. But for the most part, people in those classes had money. And, you know, being the one kind of standout actually there because I was intelligent enough to be there, you know, not because my parents are buddies with these teachers and then their church group and all that other shit, you know, on the weekends and all these things, you know. So it's a different type of relation. Like these kids be talking about all the vacations they going on, and they're going here for the weekend, they going paintballing, they going doing this, and they going doing all that other shit. I'm like, word? Shit, I was at the park. I rode my bike this weekend. That shit was cool. You know, I played on some Super Nintendo and shit. You know what I mean? And so you just have to be relatable. I think kids are more attentive and they're more receptive to someone they can relate to in a position of power as opposed to other situations. Like, I mean, I remember being in elementary, and there was a situation where we used to play this game called Beat Spike. I don't know if the kids still play that shit, but I've always told you I'm an equal opportunity employer. And a little white girl, she was playing, some other people were playing, we were playing, and so we played the game. We were playing the game. She wanted to play. And she fucked around, got her ass hit. She got mad. She kicked me. So I hit her motherfucking ass. It was what it was. It seemed like the problem was resolved. She was laughing and giggling before she got off the bus. I was back to my normal laughing and giggling, you know, whatever we was doing on the bus, elementary shit. So all of a sudden, right before her bus stop comes, she starts going to this old sad mode. She started her whole demeanor change right before she get off the bus. You know, I kind of noticed it, but didn't think nothing of it. So, you know, wasn't nothing said. It wasn't nothing like mad or anything like that. So we continued to have our own way on the bus, blah, 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 get dropped off, go to school the whole next day. I'm not thinking about shit. Get on the bus, had a Miami Hurricane starter jacket. I used to like that jacket. I used to love that jacket. And I see the vice principal out there, like the little assistant vice principal, whatever the fuck she was, and the bus driver. They standing outside the bus driving, talking or whatever. I'm not thinking nothing of it. Nobody's told me shit at school all day. No, nothing. I'm fucking stepping on the bus, like stepping up on the bus. This bitch grabbed me by my fucking collar of the hoodie and yanked me off the fucking bus. And started telling me, if you hit this girl again and said, I'm gonna call the police on you and all this crazy wild shit. Now keep in mind, I'm a 5th grader at this time. Now you act like I just assaulted this bitch, kicked me, and I hit the bitch back. Like, I don't care who the fuck you is. Like, I'm gonna tell you, equal rights, equal fights, equal rights, equal lefts, however the fuck you want to get it. And so, I mean, fucking said all this crazy shit. So I'm like, oh yeah, but this bitch was acting all goofy and all that. Bitch tried to be all goofy on the bus again. Like, they said, nah, bitch, don't talk to me. You know, got home. I was back when my sister was still alive, so I kind of told my sister what happened. Mom hadn't made it home yet. And I told my mom basically what happened. You know how the bitch yanked me by my collar and did all that other fucking off the wall shit. Like, now, would she have done this to another child? Hell no. You know what I mean? But because of that particular situation, she feeling whatever it is. And I'm not going to, she was the mother, and a Baker man might know this. She was the mother of a notable quarterback that came from the area. Not the one we played with, but another one that had a little bit of local fame. And it had a little bit of national fame, but we ain't gonna get all the way into that. But so anyway, that's why I hear that motherfucker. Matter of fact, I think I heard that motherfucker on TV or the radio the other day. I'd be like, fuck that nigga. Even though it wasn't his fault, fuck him and his raggedy ass mom. But my mom came to school the next day. I was in class, though. I think we were talking about dinosaurs or some shit. Man, they called me out the thing. I'm like, fuck, what have I done now? They didn't call me on over here. You know, come to the office. I'm like, man, I ain't even done shit. Goddamn, you know what I'm saying? I'm cooler. I've been cooler. Y'all done threatened the laws on me. I'm just chilling. And now keep in mind, I was a good kid back in elementary. I had perfect attendance and shit like that. Like, I wasn't no bad. I was on the honor roll, like all that good shit, you know. But yet you yanking me and doing me all this other shit. Like I'm just a fucking criminal. And you know, so my mom in the office, I'm in the office, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Man, when I say that lady was in that motherfucker shaking, I don't know what all my mama told her. And my mom's not a person like a wild ass ghetto mom or no shit like that. So basically just had me recant what happened. And I'm like, yeah. She was like, she tried to lie. Say, oh no, I didn't pull you. But I'm like, yeah, the fuck you did. Like, you yanked me off the fucking bus. Like, I ain't say, yeah, the fuck you did. Of course not from my mama. Mama would have beat my ass in there. But I was just like, yeah, you did. I told her, oh no. And then, I mean, by the time I was leaving this motherfucking office, she petting me, trying to, you know, groom me down, and she just all nervous and shaking and shit, because she, like my mom says, told her something. She like, yeah, because if you kick me, I'd knock the fuck out of your motherfucking ass or some shit like that. She basically just said, but she didn't get really out of hand with it. But I mean, shit, it was a valid reason. Man, when I talk about that lady never ever gave me an issue ever again, trying to be my bestest buddy, went out of her way to be happy. I'm telling you, that's what happened. If you ever have a bully and you whoop their motherfucking ass, it's the same shit that'll fucking happen. So, so like I say, you know, it just is what it is, man. And again, so like I say, you know, it is what it is. The rock, yeah, hell yeah. I used to jam rock alternative. I like corn. I'm talking about. I told you I used to have a pair of the fucking. I had a short-lived headbanger phase. You know, that was right around the time when my sister had passed. I was on some old super depressed ass shit. And so I had gotten to a mode where I was listening to a lot of alternative, somewhat not super metal stuff, anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was just in a mode like after she passed, I kind of had a weird phase. You know what I'm saying? You had the Jinkos, I had the fucking the big feet. So I wanted to wear the Jinkos. Yeah, I had that whole fucking deal going. I'm telling you, like, I was like, I guess what back at that time would have been emo or something, because I was just fucked up. I was fucked up about the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't feel like I related to other motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just a whole awkward phase. Remember, I was hating on my Froski-doski. That bitch was live at 5. But you know what I'm saying? As I calmed down, just listen to Nickelback. Hell no, that's ultimate metal. Y'all don't know anybody, but y'all don't know nothing about that. But my thing is this though, man. My thing is this, though. You know, I think people with a certain child, you just need to be in certain environments. And then, you know, you can get introduced and acclimated to other situations. But I think that when it comes to tutelage and training, you need to be in a situation that's as close to who and what you are as possible. But you still want that quality of education, and that's what counts ultimately. Excuse me. I'll see if I can find a photo one day. Maybe I will grant y'all that privilege. I don't know if I have to, if I can find it. But what if I was white? If I was white, then I'd fucking be doing something completely different. Man, that reminds me, I used to let them. Remember the fucking Peytons? I had the baby blue, the fucking zippers. I had some dope ass. I had the baby blue ones. Only other person had them. Only one other motherfucker had them hoes, hating ass nigga. I was mad because I was like, ooh, ain't nobody got these. And next you know, another nigga got them hoes. I ain't gonna get into that though. But my thing is this, man. Your childhood though, your childhood has a super dominant effect on who you are. And I mean, it's when you're learning, it's when you're introduced to everything. And so of course it will. That's the only thing, I mean, that you know at that time. And you build your blocks off of that. You build your, I don't think I ever really listened to Manson like that. I might have listened to it, but not like I might have heard it or maybe tried to listen to it, but I don't think I ever really got into Manson like that. Who was the motherfucker that sang, was that Rob Zombie? What was that, White Dracula or something like that? No, I would never do all that. Look, here's the thing. Here's the deal. Could have done all that shit. I never got away from being black. Like I could talk all this shit, and I could speak all these things. Trust me, dude. There's one thing that I wouldn't trade being black for anything. Like that's the one thing. Like we can talk about all this other shit. I could speak my mind, and it may be a more conservative view on what I think that, you know, black people need to do, niggas need to do, whatever it may be. Like that's the one thing I think people get twisted. It's like, oh, he on some coonery or he on some other this, or he want to be. Nah, it'll never be that, dog. Like I would never, ever, ever trade being black for anything in the world. But I think just my people as a whole, if we change the way we approach shit, that we could see better results as a society. And that's what people don't understand. Like, you got to understand when the rules of the game change, you know, you got to adjust to the rules until you can learn how to tweak them hoes. You know, you can't just rebel. Like it was something I saw that I thought was legit. You know, a lot of people, you're talking about $1 billion. Well, $1 billion is a lot of money, but no. I'd rather be black and make $1 billion than to be awesome. But like, because what you got to understand is I saw something brilliant the other day. There's a guy I follow on Twitter. I didn't even realize he did that. I didn't realize he was behind it until I read some articles. But you have all these people who sit here and complain about, oh, we don't get fair treatment with Airbnb and, you know, such and such and such. And so he took that he realized, hey, this is a lane. Obviously, this is a problem with a lot of people. So he created something I think was called Noir BNB or something like that. So basically Airbnb for black people or black friendly homes, you know, because y'all don't know if y'all saw the thing where the white lady called the cops on the black people who stayed at a home that was an Airbnb home because they didn't wave at her. So she said they were stealing because they were coming out of the house with suitcases. Like, it's some crazy ass shit. It's some crazy ass shit that happens. And so, you know, but you capitalize on it. Don't complain about the shit. Capitalize, which is capitalism. You get your money, man. Shit, get your motherfucking money. Now, you see a problem. If you create a solution to a problem, that's the way you make money. Here's the deal, though. I've been running my motherfucking mouth. I've been talking out my ass. Oh, but he only had one touchdown. He had 300 something yards, but one touchdown. That don't equate. Let's open up the den line. And yeah, I forgot about his story. You know, I apologize about that because I was supposed to crack that open about 15 minutes ago because I said I'm gonna start doing about 30 minutes of talking and then open the den line up about 30 minutes in. Starting to find the right format, the right formula for these things. let me put the proper ear gear in, and we'll go from there. It's because Africa shit. I don't think African Americans will change until Africa becomes better than them. I don't know what you think, Dominic. I mean, because what you got to understand is certain people are going to be who they are. Because, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, it's just shitty people. So what it is the media likes to portray to you the shittiest of people, because there's a lot of African Americans who've been very successful since day one. But it's easier to create a narrative of fear of what most people don't understand. And so it's not like they're going to try to research. It's not like they're going to actually try to figure it out. It's super easy. Because if I went and hit like only trailer parks, if I only went and hit meth affected backwoods communities and told you, hey, this is what white people are, this is all they're about, it would be easy to believe that shit. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that the media does. They don't go to the many affluent black neighborhoods all over this country. You do a little bit of research, it's not hard to find. There are plenty of them. And what's happening with a lot of these affluent, not even impoverished black communities, a lot of these affluent black communities, because one in particular I want to say in Martha's Vineyard, I want to say they actually had some beachfront property that was all black owned because they weren't accepted initially in the white area, so they went and made their own. And now you have all these people trying to come in and buy that up and move it. Now they're like, oh, there goes the neighborhood. But it was funny because I was watching a documentary on it, and it was and some people are just ignorant, okay? And it is what it is. Because it was an Asian lady, she's married to an African guy, but it's a white African. And her logic was, well, yeah, it's okay. We should be welcome in this neighborhood because you guys are African American and he's an African. And so I understand it. And it's like, no, bitch, you don't relate, because one, he's an African from Africa, you know, in which black people in America don't relate to African problems. Like, that's why I say certain word associations are so fucking stupid to me. But it is what it is. So, you know, you have to have identifiers for some reason. Like, you can't tell that I'm fucking darker than you. It was somebody was saying the other day that we're all fucking American. I mean, if you're an American, you're an American. In other countries, they ain't sitting there saying, well, you know, these Africans or these white this and black this or whatever. I mean, shit, it is what it is. But you have to acknowledge that sometimes there is a different set of rules. But my thing is, if I can learn how to win with a different set of rules, then I can play the game better. Ultimately, I can be more successful at the game. So that's why I don't complain about the shit. That's why I don't buy into all the bullshit. I look for solutions to the problems and capitalize. This is a land of capitalism, so capitalize. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole deal. That's why I don't care about a lot of shit. That's why I don't get into a lot of, oh, well, you know, this is so racist, that's so racist. I look at the logic and everything behind most of the stuff, and I understand that some people are just ignorant. They're not. People are ignorant. Racism is ignorance. Most people are not exposed to other cultures. Most people, the only thing they know about niggas, black folks, whatever it may be, is what they've seen on television. You see a nigga like me coming, they walk across the fucking street. They'll move out of the way. And to me, that's A-okay, because you know what that means? Do you know what that means? That's power. And that's something that people are afraid of. I don't have to say anything, do anything, barely even look at your motherfucking ass, and I can budge you and move you out of your element without me saying and or doing or speaking. Who's got the power and who's the coward in that situation? I'm not worried about that. I don't care if you fucking afraid. That's your fucking problem. So that's my thing, man. It is what it is. So, I mean, like I say, you know, you do what you got to do, man. It's like Mexico became a dominant superpower with low crime and democracy instantly tomorrow. 50% of America move back and change for sure. But what does that matter? What does the hypotheticals matter? Like, that's the problem. When you're talking about hypotheticals, you're talking about fantasy land. That's like if I walked outside my door and I happened to be in Wonderland with Alice tomorrow. What's the logic behind this? Like, what is the logic behind any of this stuff? Because again, all that tells me is that when you say these things, it just shows me your lack of exposure to the world, and that you live in a small bubble, and that's unfortunate for you, because that means you have fear of these other things that you don't know anything about. So instead of becoming familiar and actually having a real understanding, you're probably kicking it at the house, watching Fox News or whatever channel that you choose, or you're following whatever echo chambers that are repeating these same things and making you feel like the shit you're saying is logical and right. But it doesn't. It's not. And so the thing is that, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a fear, and it just shows ignorance. And so what I'm trying to do is tell you something to help you. I understand your argument, Cavity Creep, but what I'm trying to understand is to help you this, man, is get to know motherfuckers instead of believing stupid ass bullshit, because you will always be at a lack in life. You may think you're winning, you may think you're the one on top, but you will always be at a lack for life. Let's see what we got calling in on the den line. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the den line this evening?
It's Edmund.
Edmund. You're a racist. No, I'm just fucking with you, Edmund. How are you doing this evening, Edmund? What would you like to drop in the den, man?
I want to ask, what do you think of parents that get mad at, their daughters, or that get mad at their daughters for dating a black man?
Okay. Very good point. I think they're just like Dominic. If you're mad at that, then it's just a sign of your fears. It's just a sign that you're afraid of something. And it's more of an issue within yourself than an issue with that other person. And that's what most people have. Like, they have fears of these things, and they don't want to admit that it's a fear. Well, they try to justify their fears with some type of non-factual fact, some type of alternative fact, and say, well, if this and again, one, I think it is, especially when it comes to a situation like that, is black people have very strong genes. One, and when it comes to daughters, because I think it's a different vibe when it comes to a son dating a black woman as opposed to a daughter dating a black man. Because we put women. This is part of putting that women on the pedestal and all this other stuff. People don't want to imagine their daughters getting pounded by the rumored BBC, and all the legends and porn movies and things that they've seen. They don't want to imagine their daughters in a situation like that. They don't want to imagine their sisters in a situation like that getting demoralized by something of that nature. And so that's what it is, man. It's illogical. It's ignorance. But again, that's the beauty of America. People are free to be as ignorant as they want to, because when you're ignorant, when you're ignorant to something and not going out and find out the facts for yourself, you will always get taken advantage of in some way. You may know everything in the world, but that one little aspect of life that you're ignorant in, trust me, somebody's going to take advantage of you. So again, racism is ignorance. Being mad about something like that because you're mad about who somebody else likes, you're trying to be controlling. I think people like that are worse off than, whoever it is that may be interracially mixing. And like I said, I used to be a person who was against, interracial relationships. But at this point, I'm just like, man, you like who you like. It's not my job. Like, if I'm not fucking a bitch, I don't give a shit. It ain't got nothing to do with me. People got to live on this fucking planet, and they gotta make a way for themselves however they can. But that's just my take on it. Parents who are upset about that, they're ignorant. And then people, especially the parents who try to stop that shit from happening, if you don't realize, the more you try to stop somebody from doing something, the more they're going to go after that. And so I think that's a problem. And then there's a couple other little things in there, but I think we're going to save that for a whole topic, because there's a couple of points I was going to make, but I think I'm going to jot that down for a whole topic for us to have. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. It's just ignorance, man. It's just pure ignorance. And again, I don't know what it is other than that. But do you have any other thoughts there, Edman?
No, just I feel like usually the female, like the daughters, get a lot of the, they get so much pressure from their parents, especially the father. Why do you think the father is so aggressive towards a black male?
Because the idea is that the father is supposed to protect his daughter, and the image in a person's mind like that is that blacks are animals or they're vicious beasts or something like that. Whatever propaganda has been spread or whatever ignorance has been spread or, whatever disbelief in race mixing that they have. And it's fine, like I say, because at one point in time I thought that same way. And so I would be just as ignorant if I have to say, oh, they're ignorant for it. But again, some people believe in purity of bloodlines, and they feel like if you bring in a black person, you're tainting our bloodline. We've gone back this way in history. Some people look at it as, these are second class citizens. Why are you offering up your purity or your privilege or however they view it? You know what I mean? To somebody. I mean, and again, like I say, I don't understand how the mind of somebody who hates someone else works. Well, not really anymore. It's ignorance. I mean, but it could be various reasons, whatever reason. Again, it could stem back to their childhood as to why they may not. It could be, honestly, and I've heard all kind of various stuff. It could be because they lost a starting spot to a black guy back in high school, and they've hated black people ever since. Oh, your genes are more athletic, and you beat me. Or it could have been a fight. It could have been. It could be anything, but when it comes down to it, it's hate and or ignorance to have for somebody choosing to date or fuck with whoever they like. But the funny thing about it is, for there being so much hate, for there being so much disdain, the number one type of porn that gets sold, interracial fucking porn. It ain't just the women watching the shit. And the number fucking one shit that you search and you look up on these search terms, because Pornhub puts out, like a breakdown of the searches and shit like that. They actually do some very scientific. I crack jokes about scientific research on Pornhub, but they really do provide very good data. If you look at a lot of these conservatives are always considered more racial areas or whatever, the number one searches for women is BBC, big black cock, or something like that. So for all this hate and all this, disdain that we say we have, people suppress their real feelings. And I think mostly it's people trying to keep up appearances for other people. That's a factor. A guy might not even really hate black folks like that, but he doesn't want people to think, well, my daughter and my family, she's fucking with those black guys. And like I said, how most people don't have that interaction. They may be thinking, oh, well, he's one of those rappers, or he's a drug dealer, or he's a this, that, and the third. Well, it could be just a square ass nigga who just fucking with the bitch. I mean, there's so many fucking reasons. I mean, that's a good question, but like I say, the answer is just, it's hard to pinpoint. But ultimately, it's fear, hate, and or ignorance, and that's what it all boils down to. That's my thoughts on that.
All right, but
all right, appreciate it, Ed, man. Good question, though. Very good question. I wish I could give a more specific answer, but I think that we're gonna have to find a racist or somebody, and we're gonna have to bring him in the den and just say, well, why wouldn't you want your daughter taking the black weenie? Because then, I think when you look at sex, you look at it as a sign of dominance and things like that. I don't think that. It depends on how it goes. I don't think, if you are a racist, you would want to see blacks in a situation of dominance over white or whatever it may be. Again, I think it's a whole lot of different shit. I think it's a whole lot of different things. All right, Kenneth, super simp number one, call in and tell us your damn story, asshole. Say black man, black woman, black baby, white man, white woman, white baby, white man, black woman, black baby, black man, white woman, black. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that I've always wanted to. And I know about the one drop rule and things like that. But why is it that even when given a choice, because some of them were more fair skinned, and a lot of them back in the day used to be able to pull off going to white schools and white universities because they were so much more fair skinned black people and they would get away with it. But why is it generally when given the choice, a mixed person tends to take the side of the black side? I wonder why that is. And I've known several white girls who have had black children, and they talk about how their fathers have disowned them, have called babies names and do all this other shit. And generally the mothers some of them said they've had mothers that start out that way, but then the mothers end up tending to come around and be more accepting, while, the father is not so much. I've had friends who were supposed to be close amigos, people that I've hung out with, had semi-vacations with, and things like that. Had a sister, got a black child. Man, all kind of crazy stuff got called to about the black kid. All kind of reactions about that. So What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the den line this evening?
It is Kenneth.
Kenneth. So what has happened?
Yes.
Tell us your story about what happened at school today, Kenneth.
All right, man. So look, right around this time last night, white dude posted a picture of himself, and then the caption said, everyone that did this to me is gonna pay, and then, but then it said not everybody, but just some people. And I was like, oh, all right, shit, I'm pretty much saved, man, because I know I was always cool with that white dude, because I got second period with that same dude. But during today after everything was over, I'm gonna go back to the story. But today after everything was over, one of my football teammates told me that that this is not the first time he tried to do something like that. Because this same dude last year said that he that he had like his uncle, like his grandpa, his uncle got that he's a hunter or something like that. So he keeps guns at his house and shit like that. So, and that was last year, way before this happened. So I was like, damn. So I guess he wasn't joking like that. But then. So this morning, like during the night, around 4 or 5 in the morning, everyone saw the shit, and everyone started posting it on Instagram. You know, be careful. And I'm guessing the word got around pretty quick. And by the time that I got to school, they had already taken him up. From what I heard, as soon as he got off the bus, he was arrested right there and there. So, you know, not much happened, but. It was taken very seriously. It was to the point they had K-9 units in the school, everything. Yeah, but I mean, like, they took him up,
got their ass
and from what I know, he was more than likely arrested because it was in the news. It was in Channel 11, Univision, all of that good stuff. It was all over. And then, but I mean, a lot of people were thinking about, like, yeah, it's better safe than sorry. You know, better take measures and, you know, instead of, you know, having another tragedy. And, you know, the crazy part of it is that this shit is in my school. Like, I always think about this shit, but I never really thought that this shit could really happen in my school, which is the crazy part. But, like, I think the reason that dude did that shit is because, like, so many people be fucking with that man, bro. And it's crazy, but I think he might be a little mentally challenged. Nothing against him, but I think he is. But, I mean, I have second period with this dude. Like, I had class with him, like, last week. I mean, I don't really mess with him like that, but when I do talk to him, you know, it's all good. Nothing special, but yeah, that's it. But shit was crazy, dog.
So is your second period
I never expected that shit to happen.
Is your second period class for mentally challenged people?
Nah, bitch, stop trying to play. Nah.
But here's the deal, though. Here's my thing, though. And it is fucked up, man, because people do try to take advantage of people. You know, people have their own problems and shit. Well, fuck you too for hanging up, goddamn. But people do take advantage of people like that, and I find that unfortunate. That's one thing that I've never been keen on. I've never really been with the bully shit. That shit is super lame to me, especially when, you know, it's easy targets and shit like that. Like, you know, it's one thing to fuck around and give people a hard time, but when you really just trying to fuck with somebody just because you know that there's nothing that they gonna do back to you, I think that shit is lame. It's about as lame as it gets. You know what I mean? You know, that shit is fucking weak as fuck. So, you know, there's this. Let's see, it's a challenge of born their women, not Chinese men have no one to mate, so they go to Africa wives. Yeah, I've seen it. Actually, I've seen, was it Japan, too, that they were talking about? Like, they really get into the robo-host situation. Like, motherfucker got a whole family, and he was talking about how, you know, my wife, the Asian women, they're not really nurturing and all this other stuff. And, you know, he talking about how he work hard, and now he talking about he got a daughter damn near the size of the robo-host, so they be sharing clothes and shit. Like, just some real weird shit. So he be taking his robo-ho out on dates and all kind of fucking things and all that other shit. And it's just wild, man. Sticking up for the dude getting bullied. Yeah, that's what I mean, man. It's crazy. But that's what people don't want to talk about. And that's part of the problem. You know, you have to be able to identify these troubled students early on. But what I got most from that story that Kenneth just told, he got to school late. That sounded like what I heard. Talking about by the time I got there, you know, niggas already arrested and shit. I had to get the store for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? He talking about shit. By the time I got to school, you know, I was over there fucking smoking the sweet, you know what I'm saying, behind the fucking football field, you know what I'm saying? I put my backpack on like, fuck it, let me get over here before I'm late, you know what I'm talking about? And then I dipped over, you know what I'm saying? I seen the law. I had to throw the sweet away like, That's fucking funny. No, I don't want Toro going to school. I want people teaching their kids to fucking stand up to fucking bullies and not by fucking shooting them down, fucking put them in some goddamn martial arts. Because guess what happens? You fucking get bullied in fucking school. You don't do shit about it. You get bullied in life. You go to a job and grown-up people saying bullying is the worst fucking shit. But you get punked. I mean, you get put into situations you don't want to be in because you don't have the testosterone or the testicular fortitude to say, hey, no, I ain't fucking doing that. I ain't with that shit. No, I don't want that. You're just going to take the fucking shit. You get married, you'll get punked by your wife. Like, this is what I'm saying. Once you let that cycle continue and expect somebody to come save you, it ain't finna happen. That shit's not finna happen. So instead of teaching kids, hey, tell on somebody if they say something mean to you. If you look like a fucking roly-poly when you go to school, somebody need to tell your motherfucking ass that, hey man, you look a little chunky right now, you need to do something with your motherfucking self. Maybe that'll motivate your ass to fucking get in shape and be a better fucking person. This shouldn't be like, hey, let's just accept everybody for everything they got going. Man, fuck that shit. Like, fuck that. You need that shit to motivate yourself to be a better fucking person. Don't just accept like, well, the world needs to accept me because I'm morbidly obese and I love Twinkies and Twix. Right Twix, left Twix, they're both equally good. Like, fuck that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, the world it was built on survival of the fittest, and now we're about protecting the weakest. You know, it was one thing, you know, when you know, it was uncivilized, and you know, you protect your young because they're weak, they can't fight, and animals will do that. But now we're protecting full-grown motherfuckers who should be a part of the battle. Instead, we protecting them because, hey, well, you're hurting their fucking feelings, man. You shouldn't do that. Well, he shouldn't be fucking eating all the donuts before I get to fucking work, man. Goddamn. You know what I'm saying? You do this shit every goddamn day. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker get here early just to get the donuts, man. It ain't like I'm late. Motherfucker that ate all the shit looking at it and said, well, what did I do? You ate the donuts, bitch. That's what the fuck you did. But, I mean, shit, like, hey, well, man, say, look, there's a difference in what Hitler's saying and what I'm saying. But yes, the strongest should survive. I'm not talking about going out and wiping people out. But my thing is this. If you off yourself because people are saying something negative about you that you can fix. It's one thing if you are special needs, or if they have something like that, I'm just not going to condone that shit. But if you're a normal fucking human being functioning with 4 appendages that work, you 2 legs and 2 arms. Let me see what we got going here. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the den line this evening?
Yeah, it's gonna begin, man. I kind of wanted to have
Yeah, hold on.
cool thingy that I had.
Hold on 1 second. It's sounded real muffled. I can barely hear you. Hello.
Everybody on that old shit, dude almost shut up to school and shit. And then the crazy thing is, everybody want to laugh at the situation like shit is really funny. Like, I mean, I get it. You want to think, you know, school shooting shit is a joke when it's really not. You know what I'm saying? The shit really is not funny. Like, people fail to talk about why he did that shit in the first place. Like, if y'all weren't fucking with that man so much, he probably wouldn't have went and did all of that shit. And I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, that because, you know, he is a little mentally challenged, so, you know, the fact that y'all really fucking with that man is kind of fucked up, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's not all on people that really did that to him. I mean, majority of it is, most of the blame is on them, but, you know, well, I mean, yeah, it's all on them because he is a little mentally challenged, so the fact that they did that, it's unacceptable. But people want to laugh at the situation like shit is really funny. But what if he didn't really post it on Instagram and would have just came to school and didn't get caught? Shit would be a whole different story right about now. People wouldn't be finding this shit funny. But as soon as shit get ready to pop off, people want to take shit serious. But when shit don't pop off, yeah, it's funny and shit. But man, it's crazy that people really find shit like this funny, bro. Like,
man, one
shit
is
baffling me.
it's the situation that we live in today, especially with social media and stuff like that. You know, people just find shit as a joke. Everything's funny, ha. Like motherfuckers die, motherfuckers cracking jokes. That's the first thing happening. I think in a situation like that, though, a lot of them people who cracking jokes, honestly, they probably halfway got a little. They need to do a draw check. They probably got a little poop stain, little turtle head poked out there to suck it back in because I'm blocking Kenneth on the next. That's why I got to change the den line so I can just start blocking niggas. But you know, they laughing and playing it off because they trying to play hard, they trying to play tough or act like, you know, they on top of the situation. But in reality, a lot of them same motherfuckers cracking jokes would have been the first niggas fucking crying and doing all that other shit to, you know, if something really would have went down. So, I mean, there's that. And, you know, hey, it's no big deal. But much as I give you a hard time, Ken, I'm glad nothing happened. Glad you're all right. So you'll still be around for us to make fun of. So there's that. Let's see. Bullies deserve to be punished. At least 3 years in prison. No. So the thing is that bullies are one-on-ones like 5 on one. The entire school knows about it. Don't help. Because why? Why does somebody have to come to save you, man? And that's the thing you have to learn. There's been situations, man, where a motherfucker be down bad and the whole world looking at you. Yes, but they're not going to save you. The world's not going to save you, man. But here's the thing, though. When you come up out that situation while everybody's looking and the odds are against you, what happens? Instead of you being a motherfucker getting punked, you're the hero. It's just that simple. You know, we love to praise heroes and all that other shit, but heroes are the motherfuckers who go against the fucking odds and win. So the same person who's getting bullied could easily go against the odds and win if they motherfucking me, you know, handle themselves accordingly, man. Exactly. And what I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna say it over and over and over again, especially if it's those group bully type motherfuckers, like you just said, catch them one by one and handle up and see how they act. And you punk each and every last one of them motherfuckers. If you got to beat their ass, you got to get suspended 5 fucking times for beating up 5 motherfuckers. Like, do what the fuck you got to do. But I guarantee you get your respect, and you'll never deal with that situation ever again. And fuck what that school record says. I guarantee you this. Motherfuckers will never test you. You'll go down legendary. You'll be all that other stuff that you wasn't, you would become. You know what I'm saying? Arrest the bullies and the bystanders. Wow. You sounded real liberal there, Dominic. I thought you were conservative. That sounds extremely liberal. So we know where your party lines start to sway at. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I see where your party line starts to sway it, because you usually talk a lot of conservative sounding ideology. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing. Fucking whoop the bully's ass. Be a better you. Fucking if that motherfucker whoop you that time, guess what? Fight him again. The motherfucker whoop you again, guess what? Fight him again. You keep fucking fighting till you win, or until that motherfucker get tired of fucking with you. Otherwise, it is what it is, man. You're saying, I'm not saying someone gotta help. I'm saying, who do? Arrest the bystanders and arrest the bullies, or actually arrest, not arrest. Arrest the bullies and the bystanders for letting it happen. That's what I'm saying. So that sounds really liberal. Well, you guys are all part of the patriarchy because you're a man, or you're a bystander and you're not helping me. You're a part of the problem. That's basically what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, ever since like February, I don't always do that. I'm just saying, man, here's my thing. Is like, because you come in and you say some crazy things. I mean, that's my thing. Like, when you say crazy stuff, you got to expect some type of crazy feedback. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? My thing is this. Well, look, I'm missing parts and pieces of it, or whatever you said, but I don't see where you said arrest the bullies. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm trying to figure out where that came from. And the chat only lets me go so far back, but I'm seeing what I'm seeing, because no, I don't read everything. I catch little bits and pieces. Certain things are going to jump out more so, especially if you have a different colored avatar or something in the mix of a bunch of avatars that may look similar. So eyes catch what they catch. So yeah, I see. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about. You want an hour check? All right. Let me check the Let me check the hours real quick. You're gonna get bullied. That's what happened. That's the hours. We even bully in the den. Goddamn. Damn. 335 still. I couldn't take his pistachios. Shit. I wanted them goddamn pistachios. But my thing is this, Dominic. I mean, be honest with me, man. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to do any of that. And we're gonna end the den shortly. You know, like I said, I'm trying to get things back in order and be back on point. Are you getting bullied? Have you been bullied? And I mean, I'm like, all bullshit aside. Like, look at my face. I'm not trying to crack a joke. I'm not trying to be funny, because I noticed that I can't even stand up to the bullies in the den. Look, you participating in the bullying. You a bystander and a bully in the den. Oh man, so I don't know if I can take you serious, Dominic. But I do notice that when the bullying topic comes around, you tend, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just saying you seem to be more sensitive to that. I'm not saying sensitive like a lady boy. I'm just saying it seems to generate a different type of response than you normally give when we start talking about bullying, or bullying becomes part of the conversation of the issue. Because ultimately, the purpose of the den, or the new purpose of the den, the Kush Den was just talking a bunch of shit. But the new purpose of the den is that I want to have conversations that need to be had, because I want people to hopefully get something out of it. And if it can help one person, I want it to be, you know what I'm saying? I want it to be beneficial. See, look at you over there punking and bullying. You just stole 57 sweets from motherfuckers and shit. Now you got Dominic, now you got, I gave you power, ready to fight. See what I'm saying? That's what happens when you go around bullying people. Let me see. Okay. Somebody wanted an hours check. Who's that? Who wanted an hours check? And then, you ain't getting bullied. I mean, I just wanted to know, because it just seems like you when we talk about bullying, it's something that you seem to you try to, I don't know if it's a personal thing or what. Hours for power. Okay, let me see where you at. You have 78 hours. You're actually a couple of hours behind me. So I need to take this out the equation. So if we're talking one of those thrace, 335 is definitely accelerating in hours past Heidi as of now. We got uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho. So technically you're number 7, because I'm actually number 7, so you'd be behind me. But the one thing about that, actually technically you and Cavity Creep are tied for number 7. But I don't think Cavity Creep cares much for moderator duty, so if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, there's that. So you're about number 7 right now. And if you want to talk about ties and things like that, Eduardo Escalante is tied with Kenneth Colon. And so you have kind of 2 ties. So if you look at it like that, there'll be uno, dos, tres, a tie for 4th place, 5th, 6th, and then a tie for, I'm sorry, I'm not counting. So it'd be a tie for 6th place. So there's how that works. There it is. There it is. Oh well, if you want this work, look, I ain't want to have to do it. I was just about to accept the fight. I just said, see, you called me while I wasn't looking. See, that's some whole ass shit, Balin. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even looking. You saw me over here doing my mathematical analysis, trying to get the statistics appropriated for the proper position of the situation for the den, and you tried to sneak me to a fight. I wasn't even ready. You know what I'm saying? That's that bull, man. That's that bull. I find that highly ineffectual, and that it makes me upset. So there's that. But here's my deal, man. I can't even look at Drake saying, Drake is a pedophile, dog. Like it ain't no knowing. Drake is a pedophile. Like I ain't like Drake before, because it was just always been something about that dude that just seemed super suspect. Like, dude, too friendly. Like the pictures he takes with athletes, just the shit that he does is too weird. Like I thought it was weird when he groupified, was just on some groupie-ish shit with large black men. But now you you having daily conversations and eating with little 14, 15-year-old little white girls every day and trying to give them dating advice about boys and shit like that. You 30 something, my nigga. Like, if y'all heard Honcho was out there, Honcho's going to the junior high, getting girls' phone numbers and giving them dating advice and taking them out to breakfast 3 or 4 days in a row to talk to them about boys. Y'all would think I was super suspect. Y'all would think, man, Honcho on some fucking bullshit. Y'all would be like, I don't think I'm going in the den tonight. I don't think I'm watching Saw Sports tonight. I don't think I'm fucking with that Honcho guy ever. But if I could sing, I'd get a pass. That's the motherfucking bullshit. You know, singers get all kind of passes. If you can sing, you get the pass. Like fucking Honcho can't sing. Okay, so I hate to break it to y'all. So that's why I can't do no shenanigans, because I can't sing. Trey get a pass because he's a scorpion. Yeah, what does the scorpion do? Sting your motherfucking ass, poison your ass with some bullshit. But he is light skinned. That is true. That is true. There's no denying that. Look, Balin, if you want that beef, look, let me run this fade with Balin real quick, man. And then we'll wind it up. Like I said, I got some late evening shenanigans I got to get into. I'm gonna try to go to sleep at a decent time, get my day started the right way, mañana. Balin, you were saying something yesterday about, what was it, about homecoming or something like that? And you cheated in that fight. You know, I saw you had a knife in your shoe. And whether or not you should go. And I suggest that you do, even if you don't have a date. I know you know, you might be like the ugly duckling or whatever that may be, but I suggest you go, even if you got to go solo. Make memories in your life. Shaq Kush sucked yesterday. Man, Shaq Kush be abandoned. Like, don't we want to land in the same place? Like, we're playing duos, but so that means if you go after one person, they got a partner right by them. You leave me abandoned and shit. Like, good grief. And then old buddy, he could have had that kill on old buddy. He ain't wiping out. I'm like, man, look out, his partner right there. Where's partner? What? Pop, 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 pop. His partner ended up not even getting the kill. So there's that. I don't remember bits and pieces of stuff, man. So because there'd be so much going on, like I can't catch. Didn't Fetty Wap fucking just make a song with somebody? So I don't know how that goes. Yeah, I'm in the wrong fucking chat. That lets me know it's time for me to get up out of here. I'm fucking trying to reward shit that I can't even reward. I'm thinking like I'm in the fucking soft sports. That means it's time for me to get off the motherfucking stream and go do what I need to fucking do. Because I'm thinking about something completely different. And I meant to be stealing or whatever. And then I'm fucking rewarding. Because like I saw my exclamation point. I stopped. I did something else. And I've looked at it. I was like, I'm a reward. So yeah, there is that. With that being said, yeah, fucking dirty ass Scotty. He was fucking muddy around here. And Scotty fucking ass, even every time he's been going for a walk the last couple of days, he's been having to get a fucking bath. He was bad today. That nigga was not having that shit. My nigga was like, hurry this shit up, nigga. I'm tired of this shit. You know what I'm saying? This usually be like a weekly thing. Now you fucking trying to bathe me every goddamn day and shit. That boy was mad. Usually he be cool in the water. He don't mind. He'll let you bathe him and, you know, do whatever it is. But that motherfucker was like, he was getting annoyed and shit. Like, come on, this fucking nigga trying to bathe me again. What the fuck, dog? I'm like, shit. Can't be getting all in the mud. You know what I'm saying? And the little one take him out, she be taking him all through the mud and shit. And so, gotta wash his ass. He be fucking tracking mud all over the place. I have to beat Scotty up. But here's the deal, man. I appreciate y'all, regardless of the tomfoolery, the shenanigans, and all the wild stuff. Here we get it best said my dad worked for Microsoft, no? And if it is, I hope it's Bill Gates. If it's not, then it's irrelevant. But again, like I said, man, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming through the den. We'll be back at it tomorrow with some sauce. We'll be splashing flavor all over the place. Trillium died for our sins. Well, that's unfortunate. He shall be revived after 3 days. But yeah, so excuse me. If you're not, make sure you go and follow at Den Show Live on Instagram and Twitter. I'm gonna be doing some things different with that starting tomorrow. And at Honcho HTX on Instagram and Twitter. If you just fuck with the random shenanigans that I do, I'll be doing some different things with that tomorrow also. But with that being said, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. And I think I'm gonna be getting the a Den podcast back up, because I had a Kush Den podcast for a little bit. And as I get back started on the sauce tomorrow, I'm gonna get back. I'm thinking about getting the Den back active. So we'll see what happens with that. But we'll chuck up a deuce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. And I don't know. Shit. Get the fuck out.